Hello, Tigers, and welcome to the TMNtv newscast for Wednesday, November 6, 2019. Stay tuned for the latest news at Fort Hays State University and around Northwest Kansas and the nation. I am Lauren Davis, and Jenna Hawley will be here shortly with a look at what's going on around the globe. And Haley White will fill you in on what's happening in the sports world. But first, here's what's making news in Tigerland. Voters made it obvious they were ready for a change in leadership positions on the Hays USD 489 Board of Education and the Hays City Commission after Tuesday's general election. Only one incumbent in both races was re-elected, and that came in the form of Ron Mellick in the City Commission battle. Newcomers Mason Reuter and Michael Burgess also secured spots on the City Commission. Reuter led all vote-getters with 1,834 votes, and Burgess was second with 1,802, according to the unofficial results from the Ellis County Clerk. Both will serve 4-year terms when they take office. Mellick was third with 1,746 votes and will serve a 2-year term. The other incumbent in the race, Henry Schwaller IV, was fifth in voting with 1,413 votes. Ryan Reimer was fourth with 1,492. In the BOE race, Tammy Welbrock dominated at the polls. The former president, CEO of the Hays Area Chamber of Commerce, who now runs her own business, secured 2,535 votes to lead the way. Former district principals Alan Park with 1,913 and Craig Pallister with 1,689 finished second and third to win spots. Park was a longtime principal at the former Washington Elementary School, while Pallister spent numerous years as principal at Hays Middle School. The final spot on the BOE went to Lori Ann Hertel, who finished with 1,317 votes. Incumbents Paul Adams and Luke Oborny finished 6th and 7th respectively among the 9 candidates. Ghouls and goblins, superheroes, and professional athletes walked through downtown on Halloween as part of the trick-or-treat festivities last week. Children and parents made their way through area businesses to gather candy on the holiday. TMN reporter Gary Lee stopped by the Hays Public Library to see how they were celebrating with the trick-or-treaters.
I'm Megan Zampieri, and dressed as Little Bo Peep here at the Hays Public Library, where we're hosting Trick or Treat on the bricks. We extend our trick or treat time an hour past the downtown time, and we still have the Glow Maze going, which is a very dark, little bit scary, but fun for every age. We have a Fear Factory, which is Baba Yaga's pantry, full of gross ingredients for her potions. And we have a story walk featuring the 13 nights of Halloween, on the first and second floors. We've had all kinds of people. I think almost 1,000 people have already come through the library today just in the first 2 hours of Trick or Treat. It's been a fantastic event, and I cannot wait till next year.
The Student Government Association is continuing to stress to FHSU students that it is here to help them in any way possible. One of those ways is through providing free legal counseling to students who might need it. Legislative Affairs Director Katie Wisely told SGA senators in the audience at last week's meeting that the free legal counseling can help in many different situations, such as name changes. She said the service has been underutilized by FHSU students in the past, and senators are trying to get the word out to students about the help available. SGA will meet again this week at 7 p.m. Thursday in the Black and Gold Room in the Memorial Union. The meetings are open to the public. Operation Christmas Child is in full swing with deadlines approaching fast to fill shoeboxes for children less fortunate in other countries. Samaritan's Purse puts on the project across the U.S. each year prior to Christmas. The relief organization hopes to provide items to children who aren't as fortunate as others. The boxes can be filled with hygiene items, toys, books, and other smaller items that can be shipped. Leadership students at FHSU are helping package nearly 200 boxes for children. In return, the students will get a lesson in leadership skills. The students will be packaging the items into the boxes from noon to 2 p.m. November 19th in Stauffer Lounge in the Memorial Union. Items can be donated to the group at Saturday's 2 p.m. football game against Northwest Missouri at Lewis Field Stadium. An FHSU adjunct instructor has thrown his name into the race for Kansas Senate District 40 in Northwest Kansas. 61-year-old Larry Dreiling of Hayes is running as a Democrat against Republican incumbent Rick Billinger of Goodland. Dreiling was a senior field editor for the agricultural-based publication, the High Plains Journal. He told the Hutchinson News he is an advocate for farmers and rural people. Billinger defeated Alex Herman for the Senate spot in the 2016 general election. The district is made up of parts of 14 counties in northwest Kansas. When we return from this short break, Jenna will be here with news from around the globe.
Leadership is an interdisciplinary applied social science. So what that means is it's interdisciplinary in nature, which means that we bring in research and theories from a whole variety of different academic disciplines, and we put them together in ways that help students become effective agents of change in a whole variety of organizational settings. We teach transferable skills that work in lots of different organizational contexts. So things like change making and how organizations handle change and promote positive change, communication skills, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, a whole variety of other things that can be applied in lots of different types of situations.
I've learned a lot, especially through self-reflection, that is a big part of the leadership program. It's given me a lot of new tools and abilities to handle conflict, as well as showing me that I can be creative and I can do different things than what I'd always thought I was able to do.
I think that's so unique within the leadership department is we work on those personal development skills and how to be more empathetic towards other people and how to make our team members better people and how to make ourselves better people. And I think that's one thing that I've really appreciated and taken away from my time here at Fort Hays and in the leadership studies department is that it doesn't take a whole lot to be kind.
You know, leadership studies is all about how you work with people, how you connect with them, how you develop relationships. When I look at our students, I just want them to know that they can create change just as much as anybody else can. And that is what leadership studies is all about, is working with other people to create positive change, whether it be in our organizations, communities, or even the nation or world.
My name is Allie and I'm a senior business major at Fort Hays. I love working for TMN. It has made me a more experienced photographer and really helped me professionally due to all the changing environments and the different opportunities. I've also been able to meet and talk to a lot of people, which has helped bring me out of my shell.
Hello Tigers, I'm Jenna Hawley and here's what's happening around the globe. At least 9 U.S. citizens were killed in an ambush on a highway in Mexico, according to the relatives of the victims and media reports. 6 children were killed in the ambush, including 8-month-old twins. 8 children survived, with some of them being seriously wounded. A relative of one of the victims told NBC News that the attack was on a motorcade consisting of several families. Survivors told him 3 cars were shot at and 1 was set on fire. Mexico's government said on Tuesday 3 SUVs were hit in the assault. It is unclear who is behind the attack, but some reports believe it involves Mexican drug cartels. House Democrats leading the impeachment inquiry released the first transcripts. The release of the transcript comes amid an outcry from Republicans that the proceedings are being conducted in private. The panels released testimony from former ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yanovich, and a former senior advisor to the Secretary of State, Michael McKinley. Yanovich testified that Ukraine told her about Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani's campaign to oust her. She was pushed out of her job in May on the president's orders. According to Fox News, Yanovich said she learned from Ukrainian officials last November to December that the president's personal lawyer was in touch with Ukraine's former top prosecutor. McKinley said in his deposition that part of the reason he resigned was he was a witness to State Department officials trying to dig up dirt on the president's opponents. The interviews were released by Representative Adam Schiff of the House of Intelligence Committee, Representative Elliot Engel of the Foreign Affairs Committee, and Representative Caroline Maloney of the Oversight and Reform Committee. House Republicans have demanded the release of full transcripts from Democrats. The resolution passed by the House last week authorized committees to make the inquiry transcripts of recent depositions and interviews public in advance of open hearings. A Florida county refuses to allow local libraries to provide access to the New York Times because commissioners agree with President Trump that the paper is fake news. Commissioners in Citrus County reportedly agreed to not spend nearly $3,000 a year on digital subscriptions on the paper the president regularly mocks. Commissioner Scott Carnahan said, "Fake news, I agree with President Trump. I don't want the New York Times in this county. I don't agree with it, I don't like them, it's fake news, and I'm voting no." According to Fox News, all 5 members agreed to reject the library's attempt to offer digital subscriptions, with other commissioners reportedly criticizing the Gray Lady too. Critics took to Twitter to voice their outrage over the controversial decision. The commission backtracked, and members told the Chronicle they would readdress the issues. China is pushing President Donald Trump to remove more tariffs imposed as part of Phase 1 trade deal between China and the U.S. The deal, set to be signed later this month by Trump and China's president, is widely expected to include a pledge from the U.S. to scrap tariffs scheduled for December on approximately $156 billion worth of Chinese imports. According to one source briefed on the talks, Chinese negotiators want Washington to drop 15% tariffs on approximately $125 billion worth of Chinese goods that went into effect at the beginning of September. A person familiar with Beijing's negotiating position said China is still pressing for Washington to remove all tariffs as soon as possible. According to CNBC, the director of the China program at the Eurasia Center said wrapping up the interim trade pact would provide a boost to the U.S. and Chinese economics while handing Trump an important win among farmers. U.S. and Chinese negotiators are racing to finalize the text on an agreement for Trump and China's presidents to sign this month. The president of Iran announced on Tuesday that the country will start injecting uranium gas into centrifuges. The action will further unravel a nuclear deal with world powers and advance the country's abilities to create a nuclear bomb. The move was unveiled during live remarks on Iranian TV. Iran's president said they would inject uranium gas into more than 1,000 centrifuges at the Fordow nuclear facility. According to USA Today, Tehran has long insisted its nuclear activities are for peaceful civilian energy use only. Tehran's latest step away from the accord comes a day after Iran's nuclear chief said Iran doubled the number of advanced centrifuges in operations. The collapsing nuclear deal has aligned with attacks on oil tankers and Saudi oil facilities, and the U.S. alleges Iran is to blame for those attacks. The sister of slain ISIS leader al-Baghdadi has been captured in Turkey, according to officials. Reuters reported that Rashima Awad has been captured in a raid near a Turkish-controlled town near the border. According to NBC News, she was accompanied by 5 children. Officials hope to gain insight into the working of ISIS through Awad. Fast food giant McDonald's will be undergoing a significant change as CEO Steve Easterbrook is moving on. The change came after the exposure of a recent relationship between Easterbrook and another employee. According to Tribune News, the McDonald's board voted to remove Easterbrook on Friday for his violation of company policy. Easterbrook has asked for privacy regarding the situation, and McDonald's has refused to provide any more details on the matter. Easterbrook will be replaced by Chris Kemczynski, president of McDonald's USA. That's what is happening in the news world this week. Stay tuned for a sports update with Haley White when we return.
Tiger Media Network is the independent student media organization here at Fort Hays State University. It encompasses audio, video, print, photography, digital news. There's a little bit of everything at TMN.
They offer so many different events, opportunities, just so many different things to go out and do and learn so that you can make a more compelling story and just help develop you as a storyteller.
I toured this facility and I saw this radio station and then the TV studio, and I was like, yeah, this is something that I definitely need to be a part of. Here, you know, I was instantly able to make my own content, being able to broadcast my own shows.
If you have a passion about sports or about news, it doesn't matter. You can come here and you can work from day one and get that experience that demonstrates your ability to be a professional in the media industry.
Hello Tigers, I'm Haley White bringing you a sports update. As 2 weeks remain in the regular season, FHSU football found itself holding a ranking of 10th in Super Region 3 of the Division II installment. At the end of the regular season, the top 7 teams will be selected to compete in the playoffs. Fort Hays previously held the number 9 spot, but Henderson State swapped spots with the Tigers after upholding an 8-1 record on the season so far. However, rankings are subject to change given the matchups within the Super Region during weeks 10 and 11. Saturday's contest between FHSU and Northwest Missouri State just became that much more significant, for Northwest holds the 7th spot with an 8-1 record. A win Saturday would give the Tigers 3 straight wins over the Bearcats, which hasn't been done in more than a decade. Last year's meeting between the two programs was nothing short of a dogfight as Fort Hays ran away with a 17-16 win at Maryville. Last year's meeting was also the first time quarterback Chance Fuller made his debut as a starter for the Tigers. Fuller finished with 240 passing yards and 2 touchdown passes. Kickoff at Lewis Field Stadium is set for 2 p.m. on Saturday. FHSU men's soccer is just 1 win away from securing the number 1 seed for the GAC tournament, which begins next weekend. The Tigers will have 2 chances to grab a win this week as they meet Southern Nazarene on Thursday for a match at home, then travel to Shawnee, Oklahoma to take on Oklahoma Baptist on Saturday. FHSU women's soccer was unable to finish on a high note against number 4 Central Missouri on Tuesday during a rescheduled game, falling to UCM 2-1 in overtime. The Tigers ended the regular season 10-5-2 and will have the number 5 seed in the MIAA tournament. The Tigers will kick off the conference tourney facing the number 4 seed Central Oklahoma in Edmond on Friday. FHSU volleyball was unable to find a rhythm against second-ranked Nebraska Kearney Tuesday, falling to the Lopers in 3 sets. The Tigers moved to 6-19 overall, with capturing just 3 wins in the conference. Fort Hays will wrap up its final road trip of the regular season in St. Joseph, Missouri, as it takes on Missouri Western at 5 p.m. Thursday. FHSU women's basketball posted a hard-fought battle against K-State during Friday's exhibition contest at Bramlage Coliseum as it kept pace with the Wildcats up until outside shots widened the margin between the two teams during the 4th quarter. Here's a closer look at the game in the Little Apple.
It's quite the place to get your first experience.
FHSU women's basketball posted impressive efforts against Kansas State during exhibition play Friday night at Bramlage Coliseum. The Tigers kept pace with the Wildcats up until the midpoint of the 2nd quarter as K-State found answers on offense, going on a 17-5 run, pulling away from the Tigers in double digits. Fort Hays trailed KSU 41-31 at halftime, but the Tigers responded after the break with offensive answers of their own. It was KSU's red-hot performance from the floor during the final stretch of the game that knocked off the Tigers by a final
final score of 78-60. Jaden Hobbs and Belle Barbieri led the Tigers with 10 points while contributing to a FHSU 33.9 shooting percentage.
I think we did pretty well for what we had. Obviously we have Jaden, who's our new point guard. She's just really smooth. We also have 2 freshmen that came in and stepped up. Because some of us are still returners, but some of us are new, so we're just kind of getting used to the play and where we're going to be. So it's a learning process, but I think tonight we did well.
We more than held our own. They just kind of wore us down there. Finally, in the fourth quarter, we started getting a little tired, and it wears on you when you're outside like that inside. Then when we compensated and tried to help more, they skipped past it a couple times and hit threes, and that's what helped them stretch it out. But overall, I thought we did great against their size.
The women will travel to St. Joseph, Missouri this weekend to begin the 2019 and 20 regular season against Minnesota Duluth and Concordia St. Paul. The men will also open the regular season this weekend in Russellville, Arkansas, against Arkansas Tech on Friday, followed by a contest with Southwestern Oklahoma State on Saturday. Friday's tip-off is set for 5:30 p.m., followed by a 3 p.m. tip-off Saturday. The top 4 teams in the nation opened up the regular season for NCAA Division I men's basketball during the Championship Classic in Madison Square Garden on Tuesday night. Number 3 Kansas and number 4 Duke clashed in the first contest of the night as both teams stayed within 1 possession for the majority of the game. It was KU's excessive turnovers that ultimately sealed the Jayhawks' fate, falling to the Blue Devils 68-66. Kansas turned the ball over 18 times in the first half alone, yet trailed by just 3 at the break. Bill Self's squad collected 10 more turnovers during the second half, and it was actually the Jayhawks' 28th turnover with less than a minute left that led Duke to put the nail in the coffin. The guards of both sides were team leaders on offense as Devon Dotson posted 17 points for the Jayhawks and Trey Jones scored 15 for the Blue Devils. David McCormack crashed the boards to be the ultimate defensive leader of the contest with 13 rebounds. The second game of the Classic was also a close one as number 2 Kentucky ran away with the 69-62 win over number 1 Michigan State. The Spartans overcame a 10-point deficit at halftime and bounced back with a pair of buckets down the stretch before the Wildcats held them off with important baskets. Both teams fired off plenty of shots behind the arc, but Michigan State was unable to match Kentucky's efforts, shooting 5 of 26 while the Wildcats made 6 of 18. The Spartans also made more mistakes on offense, turning the ball over 16 times compared to Kentucky's 10. The first college football playoff rankings were released Tuesday night, leaving some fans stunned at the results. As expected, the 2 undefeated teams of the SEC and Big Ten, plus the defending national champion, held the top 5 spots of the CFP rankings. Ohio State opened as the number 1 team in the nation, followed by LSU, Alabama, Penn State, and Clemson. Minnesota, who is undefeated, was placed at number 17, while 6-2 Kansas State was a spot above it. Baylor is also sitting behind a pair of 2-loss teams at number 12, while Florida and Auburn occupy the 10 and 11 spots. Although the CFP rankings sparked heavy disagreement within the sports world, there are still 5 weeks left for the rankings to drastically change. That concludes this episode. Tune in next week for another episode of TMNtv. And as always, to stay up to date on the latest news and information throughout the week, visit TigerMediaNet.com. Until then, remember, roar Tigers!
We'll be right back.